from Raiding Greninja is such a great attack in stopping these setups here, and decks might be running that Manaphy, but getting around that with the Curse Blast, then setting up your Raiding Greninja, taking those knockouts very early on, and basically eliminating all the Pidgeys and all the Charmanders early on before they evolve is a huge tool to have in this deck.
Yeah, Frank's going first here, and actually what you said is perfect there, because if Thomas goes first, he can potentially get a Moonlight Shuriken off before Frank gets a chance to evolve, which could be really disruptive. Frank does get to go first here, though, will get to evolve before there's any danger of Moonlight Shuriken. And you mentioned Manaphy, Barry, so I thought, you know what? I'll have a little bit of a look at the list. There's no Manaphy in here.
Oh.
Manaphy's not there. That means that Moonlight Shuriken, if Frank has even a slightly slow start here, that could be a huge swing in the game. If you can take out all the Charmander or all the Pidgey, all of a sudden you've locked one of those stage 2s out of the game.
Yeah, we see that he starts with one Charmander. Looks like he wants to go back into the deck with a potential another card. Nope, he seems to shuffle. I think one thing that actually holds Charizard from its full potential is the ability to only play 4 rare candy. In a deck that plays a stage 2 with Charizard, a stage 2 with Pidgeot, and potential stage 2s with the Dusknoir, you would want access to your rare candies as soon as possible and want to skip that stage 1 evolution.
Yeah, so it's awkward when you're playing a lot of stage 2s and you just need those rare candies. There is one Dusclops and one Charmeleon, but that's a little bit slow a lot of the time. Was that the turn for Frank?
It looks like the turn. No energies. I mean, not that you need them this early on, but only one Charmander. On the other side, I don't think there's any great attack that you can pull off in your first turn, even with that Palkia V-Star deck. It's a little bit slower. However, having one Charizard out is already very huge because with its HP, it can basically withstand any possible attack there. So it will stick on the field for a while, and then potentially in the late game, you can get another one out. On the other side, we see a Buddy Poffin to get a Guskull and
Froakie's coming out ready to evolve into Greninja. And yeah, this is the turn 2 deck, Palkia. Turn 1 is very much a setup turn. As soon as we hit turn 2, then your Origin Form Palkia V-Star can come out, use its V-Star power to accelerate energy, and then you're attacking with Palkia. You can be attacking with Greninja. But unfortunately, turn 1, you're not really putting any pressure on. So Irida comes down, searches out an item card and what looked like a Palkia there.
Yep.
And then we are just playing one of those item cards. It's a Nest Ball to grab a Squawkabilly. Squawk and Seize will let you discard your hand, draw a whole new hand of 6.
Yep, really interested to see if the player will choose to play down the Palkia before he discards this here. It is a very valuable attacker with that subspace swell as well, and of course, giving you access to Star Portal here. He has, however, the Prime Catcher in hand as well, which is very unfortunate to discard this early on. But yeah, once again, he can really take huge advantage of that early knock. Like, he has no way to punish that single Charmander in this turn just yet.
No, yeah, I still like this play. Like, I don't love discarding my Prime Catcher and a bunch of other cards, but you really want 2 water energy in the discard. You want Palkia V-Star next turn. You want to set yourself up here, so you're like, look, I'm not saying you're going to leave me with 2 good targets for Raiding Greninja, but I am saying if you do, I want to be able to take advantage of it as fast as humanly possible.
On the other side, of course, Subspace Well stacks damage with more benched Pokemon, so it could also be a conscious choice to limit your bench size to just deny possible KOs here, because Subspace Well, 160 if you have a full bench, plus extra damage for benched Pokemon. One benched Pokemon means 180, so you're missing the KO on the Rotom there.
I think what you've just done there, Barish, is basically hit the nail on the head of why Raiding Greninja is so punishing here. Because you want to keep your bench low to stop Palkia, but the lower you keep your bench, the more at risk you are of being punished by Raiding Greninja. So you bench lots of Pokemon, so you're protected from Raiding Greninja, but then you're punished by Palkia, and no matter what you do, it goes badly. Speaking of going badly, that Pokestop was rubbish.
Yeah, discarded Pokestop, but mainly that Greninja EX as well, so he will have to rely on a Night Stretcher to get that back and then potentially evolve it. These decks typically only play 1 copy, so it being in the discard, you need to find a way to get that back. At the same time, I'm not quite sure how many energies have hit the discard ball. We definitely missed the attachment for turn here, which can be huge because it allows you to attack with the Palkia, with the subspace well in the next turn without having to use Star Portal. Now they will have to rely on potentially using Star Portal to get free energies once they hit the discard pile into play and then allow you to attack, which means you have to attach 2 of them potentially, or have to at least use the ability very early on in the game when you would rather keep it on to a specific time in the game where to use it.
Yeah, I agree there. You discarded an energy with the Squawk ability, but then didn't draw into another one. And if you're accelerating energy, but then you're also missing energy attachments, you're not really gaining an advantage. You're just cancelling out. It's not ideal. We got a Buddy Buddy Poffin coming down here.
I think I see an Arven being played.
Yeah, I think we're searching for a Buddy Buddy Poffin. And yeah, Hero's Cape, which is the A-spec of choice here.
Yeah, Buddy Buddy Poffin, of course, very valuable here. Allows you to get away with that slow start and basically fill your bench. We see another Charmander hitting the field. Will we see a Pidgey as well? So that could be prime targets for what we discussed just a moment ago with that Moonlight Shuriken. However, we don't have enough energies in the discard pile yet, so that is not an option yet.
No, you need at least 1 more energy in the discard so you can get your so you can get 2 from Star Portal and then attach for the turn. Ideally, though, having missed an energy attachment turn 1, you really want to get maximum value out of Star Portal if you can. Speaking of V-Star powers, here comes Forest Seal Stone on that Rotom V, searching any card you like. Oh, he's eyeing up a Charizard. He's also eyeing up some fire energy, and you know what that means. I think he's got access to rare candy here. I think Charizard is coming out.
Yeah, let's see how that combo plays out. We see the Charizard, and there's a rare candy in hand, just as you said. He already lined up the fire energy to get out of the deck. He has the Rotom active, and yeah, let's see. I mean, he's limited to 180 damage this early on. He hasn't set up any Dust Skull himself in this turn, so he can't use that ability. You mentioned that. I really like that point. You have the ability to give your opponent prizes, but then increase the damage you would deal with that Charizard.
Yeah, no Dust Skull down yet, but look, Charizard's getting a KO on Radiant Greninja, and sure, it's only a 1 prizer, but it's actually a really useful Pokemon, and we keep talking about the fact there's a great attacker here. Could get a KO on the Pidgey and Charmander combined, so here, you take the Radiant Greninja away, you make your opponent recover it if they even want to play it, while putting a 430 HP Charizard in the active, and Frank here just coming out and being like, okay, Thomas, your move.
Yeah, and I mean, we just saw that the last Pokestop discard a Greninja EX, so now another important piece here with the Radiant Greninja also hitting discard power means he's relying on 2 Night Stretchers to get these really important tools back. We see Palkia V-Star being evolved here. We see an Iono in hand that could be really helpful, but we're still kind of struggling to find the energies this early on. What would be really great would be an Earthen Vessel to search out 2 energies and go from there. Obviously, he has the Nest Ball in hand, and the knockout was just taken, so that would enable the Pheasantipity. Yeah,
Pheasantipity drawing free would be a big bonus right now. It is energy, energy, energy. There are 2 Earthen Vessel in the deck. They are not coming out right now. You nailed the Pheasantipity there, Barish. Here it comes. That flip the script, drawing 3 more cards, because right now, you didn't attach an energy turn 1. You don't have an energy in hand to attach this turn. Oh, and also, you got 1 energy in the discard for your, for your Palkia V-Star power, and actually, you really want free. Star Portal for 1 is not good. You need Star Portal for free. Even 2 at this stage, I'm not loving.
Yeah. Another aspect of the stack that I really like is the Pokestop. Yes, you're aiming for those items, but if you manage to discard some water energies with the Pokestop, that really plays into your advantage as well. Yeah. Iono played, yes, it is shuffle, and then opponent could technically cut your hand, but at this point, these cards are going below the deck, so neither of player chooses to do that. We see 1 energy, a rare candy, Suin Ball, tracking shoes as well.
We
but
see
nothing major.
Any chance we saw a Night Stretcher in hand there? Because we've got rare candy now. There's 4 in the deck, but did not draw any of them. We got a trekking shoes.
And Pokestop, I suppose.
Here's a Hisuian Heavy Ball here. So you get to look at your prize cards there, liberate a basic Pokemon, replace it with a Hisuian Heavy Ball, but also get real confirmation as to exactly what's prized. The only option is a Palkia V. Might as well take it here because the Hisuian Heavy Ball does nothing. At least Palkia V is a useful card.
Absolutely. It might be used later in the game or also just discarded as an extra Ultra Ball fodder if he chooses to play that along the game later on. But yeah, he's missing that Night Stretcher, missing that target to evolve either the Froakie or the Duskull.
Oh, energy, that was a good energy off the... Oh, perfect trekking shoes here. You get a water energy in the discard while drawing into that Night Stretcher. Now Pheasant Dipty flips
another
the
Night
script.
Stretcher.
Yes, there's 4 in the deck. We got 2 in the hand now. So we could now rare candy into Greninja if we wanted to. But we're not ready yet. There's an energy, that's good. There's a rare candy that goes... Oh, that was a perfect Pokestop. We've now got 3 energy in the discard, which is what we want. We got 2 rare candy in hand, which opens up the Dust Noir play as well as the Greninja play. And you've got those Night Stretcher, which we said we desperately needed here. It's a shame we don't have a bench spot for a potential Radiant Greninja play. But of course, you know what else can KO a Charmander or a Pidgey on the bench?
The Dust Noir with Curse Blast.
Dust Noir with Curse Blast. Okay, that Trekking Shoes Pokestop combo went very nicely for Thomas. We've got an energy to attach for turn. We do now have free energy in the discard pile, which is going to work beautifully. Oh, I love this. That turn turned around quickly.
It went really well. I'm wondering which attack he will actually use this turn, because yes, we have the tools. We see the Star Portal. Free energies going to the Froakie before it evolves. Oh, actually, 2 energies to the Froakie. Set it up for later.
Love
and
it.
a second energy for the Subspace Swell activation here. Great. We have 5 on their bench and another 3 on the other side. That's 8 benched Pokemon. 8 times 20, 160. Add another 60, 220. So now if you add the Curse Blast, which is 350, and take 20 away again because you lose a bench Pokemon, you're still not quite there yet to take out the Charizard.
You're not, but you're getting there quite nicely. And there's a lovely little play there from Stefan, whereby you cannot use your Palkia V-Star power onto a non-water Pokemon. So you use it to attach to Froakie and then evolve it up. We saw Stefan Ivanov do it in Dortmund. And look, I know this isn't perfect, but we get a bunch of damage onto the Charizard. And here's the thing. There is an argument to delay your prize taking against Charizard, because the more prizes you take, the stronger it gets. So give yourself a little bit of time, get some damage on the board, and then try and take prizes in batches. It's not always possible, but where it is, you can hurt your opponent's damage output.
Yeah, one possible play that could come into handy here is Professor Tour scenario, which basically allows you to pick up one of your Pokemon, including all the energy and the tool attached here. So if the Luminion, for example, would give you access to that, that could be a play, get the damage off the Charizard. However, you have wasted one of your rare candies to evolve it. Don't want to say wasted, you got a prize out of it, but
and you would have to discard your Hero's Cape as well, which is not always something you want to do, but if it saves 2 prizes, might be worth it. Here, we see the Pidgeot coming down. There is no, we don't have a rare candy in hand quite yet, so we're going to have to wait for a second. But this is the issue. When you're not able to take those early prizes, that does come back to haunt you. Here comes Luminion, and it is for an Arven, which will, of course, guarantee that rare candy. What tool do we want? Do we even want a tool?
We have another tool?
I mean, really, Arven, it's for rare candy, and then you go and grab your Forest Seal Stone, which we saw used earlier on the Rotom. So, oh yeah, we have Defiance banned, but you're not behind on prizes, so it does nothing right now.
Yeah, so that rare candy allows you to evolve into a Pidgeot, and now this is set up for the rest of the game. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, you can basically use every single turn to search for one. So, like, it's a universal search. You can pick any card out of your deck, and that's such a huge, huge, huge effect. I don't think, I mean, the metagame is so fast at the moment that it hasn't come into proper play yet, but just the ability every turn to search for any card you want, like, what else would you want?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you're like, your opponent doesn't go, oh, I hope they don't have, that boss's orders. Of course they do. Of course they got boss's orders. They got Pidgeot down. We even get an Insurance Charmander hitting the bench here. And Frank really has got set up beautifully here. You've got your Charizard, you've got your Pidgeot, and you're going to be going up. Well, you're not actually KOing the Palkia yet, but of course there is always an option to maybe finish it off with Dust Noir later, once you've built, freed some bench space and got it rolling.
Yeah, but now the bench is full on both sides as well, which does more damage on the subspace as well in following turns as well. I would love to see with currently, what is that, 220 damage on the Charizard.
Yes.
If we can activate a Curse Blast and then potentially find there might be one Lost Vacuum that could remove they could remove the tool and then take the knockout. That's one of my favorite, like, taking knockouts with items is an amazing mechanic to me.
Yeah, and you called it. There is one Lost Vacuum in the list. That is what we expect. Now, did we see Stefan play 2 earlier?
I'm not quite sure.
I'm going to double check that in a minute. I've got his list here. I'll have a look. Point is, you'd kind of expect them to be playing 1. If Lost Vacuum does come down, you're right. That is a 2-prize KO with Dust Noir, and then you hit with Palkia.
Actually, we see Collapse Stadium come into play here, and it says that neither player can have more than 4 benched Pokemon. We're just talking about how both benches are full. They are once again still full, but reduced to 4 each, which also lowers the damage from that subspace as well. So
yeah, that's minus 40 damage. Now, both players actually got rid of a Pokemon that was an easy 2-prize. Frank got rid of Luminion, and Thomas got rid of Squawkabilly, taking some easy prizes off the board for both players. But that, you know, Frank, it's a nice little counter to decks like Palkia. But, oh, I'm seeing energy coming on Greninja here.
Yeah, there's a huge potential here with the Greninja taking out 2 knockouts on both the Charmanders here. Unfortunately, he's just shy of that Lost Vacuum, which would give him an insane turn where he takes out the active Charizard and both Charmander. However, safe from that amazing play, we'll probably see, I guess, KOing the active and then having a Greninja ready for the next turn. But keep in mind, your opponent has Pidgeot ready. If he's missing 1 single piece to evolve a Charizard, they will have access to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the thing. Pidgeot is going to make it far easier. Yeah, that would have been such a nice turn, taking out all the Charizard off the board. Thing is, though, if you take out the 2 Charmander, well, Charizard's still on the board, but now it's got plus 60 damage. And then you run into some potential issues. Plus, you then go ahead on prizes, so Defiance Band, which you saw your opponent search last turn, all of a sudden turned on. There's an extra 30 damage, and things start getting a little bit out of hand.
I love how I just said if you're missing 1 single piece, you can get that out with the Pidgeot. And of course, the top back was a Charizard EX, and the one missing piece is the rare candy. So Zack, within a simple turn, is back to Charizard, gets another free energy out of his deck, which they just put back with the Super Rod a moment ago. So there's just another Charizard ready. And then it took a second, really, right? Just a turn, get that quick surge, and you're ready to basically attack. And keep in mind, Thomas has taken prizes, 2 prizes, so there's extra damage coming off. Not that it matters with the Palkia Vista already damaged, but yeah, you have enabled Charizard to deal more damage. Another Charizard, 330 HP, not easy to take out, and is even stronger now.
Yeah, it is absolutely that little bit stronger. So now we have that Charizard completely fresh, no damage on it whatsoever. KOs a Palkia, takes 2 prizes. Frank now jumps ahead by 1 prize. And that's the thing, when these Charizard decks get rolling, Barish, you're just getting every card you want from your Pidgeot, and you've got Charizard. And remember, as the game goes on, Charizard gets better and better and better. And it's a deck that plays a bunch of I&O here. There's 2 in the deck, because the combination of I&O plus a late-game Charizard is sometimes that's just too much for decks to deal with.
Yeah, but I mean, we're in this late-game puzzle game scenario where with Dusknoir, almost anything is possible. You can take multiple prizes. One play that could be here, Gust or get the Rotom into the active spot, get your Greninja, and with that Mirage Barrage, you can actually take the knockout on the Rotom and on a benched Charmander, but that's only 3 prizes. You would still need find a way a 4th prize, and it's really smart from Frank to not bench another easy pickup for the Curse Blast here, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the maths here on the Mirage Barrage. Great name. Unfortunately, it does 120. Add the 130 from your Dusknoir, and it's not quite Pidgeot range there. So, I mean, look, 3 prizes fine, but you're not going to be taking 4 prizes this turn.
Exactly. I think there might also be a resistance on the Pidgeot against fighting types, so that's even less damage. But yeah, let's see how...
Well, that's not going to matter on the bench, though.
That's true.
You want to hit it on the bench. But you're right, it's still short. It's a moot point. It cannot get it. But do we have any gusting here? Do you even need gusting? Like, just hit the active Charizard. I'm assuming we KO the Charmander? Or no?
No, they only use Shinobi Blade and pull out another card out of their deck, setting up for a 4-prize turn in the next turn. Frank will also have difficulty picking up 3 prizes just in this turn, and it's really hard to go for the 310 HP Greninja EX. So yes, he might gust something from the bench, take 2 prizes, but he's not knocking out that Greninja, and that might be a really nice setup for the next turn.
And I love this play. Mirage Barrage is on the board. You're saving it for next turn because, of course, you've got Mirage Barrage plus Dust Noir. Frank has got 3 prizes remaining, so you could potentially go Dust Noir this turn, turn that option off, and then maybe go for 2 prizes next turn. But I love the idea here of you're not taking prizes, so you're not overpowering Charizard. Charizard is currently hitting for 240. It is miles away from KOing Greninja. And Frank is ahead on prizes, so Defiance Band doesn't work. There's no Dust Noir or anything else known as pre-evolutions on the bench, so that's not an option. So Thomas here really playing in a very careful way, saying, I know what you're trying to do, Charizard. Not a fan, not letting you do it.
Yeah, just playing through that next possible turn for Thomas. He needs, I mean, one possible way would be Curse Blast plus Mirage Barrage. Once you pick up the Rotom to the active spot, that would allow it to give you 2 knockouts. One on the Rotom and the Charizard on the bench together with the Curse Blast. Now, you need to find a way to get to the Rotom to the active spot, and we talked about early on in the game how the Prime Catcher was discarded. However, because he is behind in prizes, that activates the Counter Catcher.
Yeah, there's no boss's orders in the deck. There is 1 counter catcher, and that really needs to be the option. You're pointing at the screen, Barish, because, of course, it's already in hand. So Thomas here, we saw it early on in the game, and we've seen it again now, deliberately not taking prizes, because apparently right now the best-case scenario for Thomas is not taking prizes.
Yeah, sometimes setting up for a longer end game can actually be very beneficial. We see the boss, and I talked about this, yes, he can get 2 prizes off the bench, setting himself down to 1 prize. However, we missed a crucial point. He's down to 1 prize, so Curse Blast is no longer an option.
Oh, that is a little bit annoying. You can KO the Dust Noir, or just put your opponent down, put yourself down to 1 prize remaining, at which point that Curse Blast is unfortunately not an option. Now we can take 3 prizes here. Again, the Charmeleon can go down and the Rotom can go down, but I'm not seeing, you know, Charizard's on 170, so you do 120, it goes to 290. That is not, unfortunately, enough.
You would have to use Shinobi Blade here.
Yes.
And I really like that that Charmander is already, Charmeleon is already set up, which allows it to evolve into another Charizard without having to use, a rare candy. And on top of that, oh yeah, you're pointing at the Iono.
I'm pointing at the Iono.
But it doesn't matter if you have Quick Search. You have access to any card. If that is like getting the remaining Charizard out of your deck. But they're only playing 2, and I think 1 already went down.
But here's the thing. You need Gusting. You're still not going through. Now, what's 4 prizes taken? That's 120 plus 180, 300. You're 10 damage short, and Defiance Band won't work. Now, this is a point where Defiance Band would be amazing if you were behind on prizes, but you're not. Charizard's hitting 300 damage. That will not get. So you need Charizard, and you need enough energy in the deck, which I'm not sure is there right now, and you need Gusting. So Thomas is basically saying, look, I'm going to give you 1 card, you'll draw for turn, and you'll have Pidgeot. That's 3 cards, 1 of which you've chosen. I'm just betting at this stage you're not getting what you need from those cards.
Yeah, I'm wondering, they could use Quick Search to get any card and then use a Great Ball. Or get the Facility immediately, I suppose, with Quick Search and draw another 3 prizes here. That could help you out. I'm wondering, what other options do we have? What can we get with that Quick Search? Keep in mind, we also have the Radiant Charizard, but 250 is not enough against the Greninja EX either, so that's not really an option.
You need Gusting plus an attack. Whether that's Radiant Charizard, Energy Gusting, that would work. Whether that is Charizard, there's 2 energy left in the deck, plus Gusting, that would work. Doesn't matter even what attack it is. Those are basically your 2 options. No, there's no Blood Moon Ursaluna here, because that would also just be single energy attack. So it's really simple. You need something with which to attack and some kind of Gusting. If you don't have that, now, Thomas, it is worth noting, did put that counter catcher to the bottom of their deck. So you could try and play Keep Away here with Pidgeot EX, and that would potentially still give you another turn here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see that Frank is taking the time to figure out which card to actually get out of the deck. Arven seems to be the choice here, the card of choice. He will go back into the deck with the Arven, so no point in shuffling. Playing the card out gives you 1 item and 1 tool. We see Defiance Band. I mean, you might as well get it out of the deck to thin it out, and the Super Rod to give you energies and Charizards back into your deck. And then we have, interesting, we have the Ultra Ball. So if you shuffle back a Charizard, you can access it with the Ultra Ball here. But you're absolutely right. Without a gusting effect, you're not finishing this game this
I mean, the maths, the way I see it, Charizard does 180 naturally, plus 30 for each prize card taken. That puts you up to 120, plus the 180 is 300. Defiance Band isn't turned on. Now, this would be a great scenario to give your opponent a prize with a Dusclops so that Charizard then went up to 330 and got the KO, but that's not on the board right now. That's not an option. So we do see the Charizard as you predicted. We know there is enough energy there, but we need Gust. Now, the other thing is, Charizard in the active, you're playing keep away like you could with Pidgeot. You're not getting KO'd, so you're still saying to Thomas, if you've got Gusting, you win. Otherwise, I just win next turn instead.
Yeah, I mean, you were absolutely right early on when you said, late game, you need any one card to finish the game. Pidgeot is your friend and will take care of that. He was missing too many pieces, so Pidgeot couldn't just finish this game this turn. But yeah, unless it's basically, Thomas, listen, you get one more turn. If you don't finish it...
Oh, it's prime, it's Counter Catcher, brings up the Rotom, takes the final 2 prizes, and Thomas there will win the first game, goes up 1-0 in this winning in round 7 in Lille. And that's what we said. Do you have the Counter Catcher? Well, unfortunately, did have the Counter Catcher. I say unfortunately, pretty fortunate for Thomas there. So really exciting end to that game. And it's like we said, Pidgeot gets you any card, but if you need more than one card, and that was the issue. Noir.
The one-off Squawkabilly, I suppose.
The one-off Counter Catcher from Frank could actually end up being big, depending on how the prize trade goes. We got Duskull against Duskull. Frank is going first here. And, of course, lost game 1. And this is what we said in the last game. Thomas here really wants to go, you know what? I'd have a turn. You have a turn but can't evolve. Radiant Greninja! Hopefully, from Frank's point of view, not an option this game.
Yeah, I mean, Frank is going first a second time, basically. Thomas, despite going second, I mean, this deck really loves to go first and getting access to evolutions as soon as possible. So does Charizard with the Pidgey, of course. And you get the Buddy Puffin, get your Charmander on the board, get your Pidgey on the board, you have another Nest Ball. That is quite a few Pokemon already on the bench. And I'd love to see some Curse Blast action from Frank as well. Like, we see the Duskull on the field already, potentially a second one hitting there, but Rotom is just a really great card, especially this early on. Just drawing 3 extra cards with Instant Charge can give you those pieces that you need to evolve your Charmander before it gets knocked out.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on your head there. Get the pieces before they evolve. Because here's the thing, that and this is a very general rule. General rule in Pokemon is, if you need to set up, you want to go first. If you can get a big attack going, turn 1 going second, you want to go second. Both of these are decks that do basically nothing on turn 1. They are terrible turn 1 decks, but from turn 2 onwards, if they can set up, they become extremely powerful. So Frank here going first, big advantage. Question is, can you get those evolutions? Rotom is going to help.
Yeah, and I have one, before we dive into this next turn from Thomas, I have one hypothetical question for you. You play the set, you go second but still win, right? And your deck really wants to go first. Is there ever a world where early on in game 2, you realize, it's going to be a really long battle to actually win this game. Listen, I feel more comfortable going first. Would you ever concede a quick game 2, saying, I'd rather go into game 3 and win this?
Oh, I have done that. Not only would I have done that. And especially look at these records here, right? You know, we're looking at 5-1. If you tie, that tie does nothing really other than give you extra positioning. If your goal is day 2, you need a win in this game or the next. Get it now and you can fight positioning in the next round. But a tie here puts both players on a winning in next round. A win puts you, on the right number of match points with then fighting for positioning. So yes, absolutely. If I can, concede, it really depends on the clock and it depends on the game. And if I think I can stretch it out and then the time will run out, if I think this game isn't finishing, I'm going to play nice, I'm going to play my normal game, but it's not going to finish, then maybe I'll try doing it. If I think I've got a decent chance there's going to be a long game, I keep playing. If I think I'm going to lose this game and not have time for a game 3, oh yeah, no, I have conceded early in that situation. It is often the right thing to do.
Yeah, happy to see how this actually plays out. Looking at the clock, there was about 20 minutes going into this game, so the first game was actually about half an hour.
Yes.
It's going to be difficult to finish this plus another game, but of course, you still have a lot of outs even early on. But I would love to see how this plays out. And if they potentially realize early on, hey, this is not going to get me anywhere, I would rather win on my own terms going first.
Yeah, it's generally if you've had a bad start and your opponent's had a good start, you want extra time for that game 3. Right now, we are not yet in that position. So here we go with the Pokestop. And when we can use that to grab a bunch of item cards potentially, maybe get some water energy in the discard pile. But right now, looks like we're going to Sui. No, we're not going a Sui and Heavy Ball. Not yet. We're going Pokestop. That was not great. You lost 2 Pokemon that could end up being good later on down the line.
Yeah. You have access through them with the Night Stretcher, but that is another target of Night Stretcher that you have to do. Yes. However, what I really like, what went really well for Tomar here, is how he was able to discard so many water energies so early on.
Yeah, getting those water energy in the discard is absolutely huge because that Star Portal can then attach them with your Palkia, really accelerate some energy, get those attacks rolling. And look, there's no guarantee that Franck is going to have a great turn 2 here. If Franck doesn't have a great turn 2, then Radiant Greninja plus Star Portal will KO the Charmander and the Pidgey and put Thomas in a very commanding position. It's less likely to work because you went second, but you've got to leave that option open.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the instant charge actually got. It looked like there was one Pokemon Go
at least
rare
an
candy
Arven in hand.
And an Arven in hand, so you have plenty of tools to actually set up at least one of your stage 2s. Pidgeot probably the preference to give you access to more tools to evolve that Charizard as well. So yeah, I mean, with that instant charge, 3 extra cards and draw for turn, you have so many. And yeah, of course, you also have access to the Pokestop.
But we're seeing a repeat of game 1 here where Thomas does not get an energy on turn 1. And if you're accelerating energy, you really don't want to miss energy attachments. Now here comes the Arven, eyeing up that rare candy nice and quickly. And of course, the tool early game, it's always Forest Seal Stone. Put it on Rotom V, use your V-Star power that you don't need for anything else. Search yourself any card you like.
Yeah, it's really taking advantage of the current format with its V-Star abilities. This deck doesn't need any V-Star abilities, so it can use the Forest Seal Stone. And if you thought Pidgeot gives me a free card every turn, Forest Seal Stone early on gives you also one-time effect, but gives you any card you need. Combine that with Pidgeot, you have 2 extra cards for this one turn specifically. Gives you so many options to set up, and that's what I meant.
What could 2 cards give us in this situation?
I mean, I would like to see a rare candy and a Charizard, line up your energies, evolve, and you're ready to attack. If we saw the Arven, so there's no boss this turn. Otherwise, you could take out the 2-Prizer as well on top of all of that. Yeah. And we saw the Hero's Cape, so there's no Prime Catcher either.
No, and that was the thing, you know, you go for the general rule is Pidgeot is better, but because you need to start attacking, sometimes you go Charizard first. But here, because you had Forest Seal Stone, you get Pidgeot, and then you got Pidgeot and Forest Seal Stone. That is search any 2 cards, which is your rare candy Charizard. Charizard gets its own energy, and then of course you can even attach for the turn to pivot your Duskull out the active. So we should be getting a KO here from your Charizard without too much effort.
What's the current goal on how to retreat that?
Just attach for turn and manual retreat. Okay. You haven't attached for the turn yet. You've got the energy from Charizard. You could even potentially have used Charizard's ability.
That's why I'm asking. Why was it not used? But I guess you would rather keep your energies in the deck.
Yes, and we see this. We saw it in the last game. We see this in Charizard players a lot, trying to keep the energy in the deck. And of course, then we just used a special energy, and that leaves a fire energy in the deck. And remember, Charizard is 2 fire energy for that Burning Darkness attack. That is essentially why you didn't do that. KO on the Duskull, and very much like in the previous game, Franck takes the initiative.
Yeah, so let's do some math here. We have the V-Star Portal active. You can get yourself free energies with the Star Portal. And then Subspace as well. We have 4 bench plus 4. It's 8. I think you need a Dusknoir as well to potentially pick up that Charizard knockout here.
You do. And here's the thing, right? And this is one of the awkward things about playing against Charizard. I look at this board and I'm like, hang on a second. There's a Charmander and there's a Duskull. That's pretty tasty for maybe using my Radiant Greninja. Problem is, you do that, you take 2 prizes, you buff Charizard by 60 damage, is now hitting 240, and you've not done any damage to a Charizard, which frankly is a Pokemon you really struggle to one-hit KO. There is a potential to do that if you think you can Dusknoir and Subspace Swell for the KO next turn. Given that Charizard will hit 240, 270 with Defiance Band, Palkia will still be out of range, but it's risky no matter which way you do it. There are a bunch of options here.
And this is where it comes in handy to have discarded so many water energy this early on.
Yes.
Palkia only needs 2, so you have a free choice where the third energy goes. Froakie, of course, a prime target there as well. And they decide to go for Subspace Swell. And this early on with 9, it just should be 240 damage.
Yes, I agree. 180 plus a 60 is 240. And, you know, now we are in potentially Dusknoir range, so that could be a potential KO, you know, mid-game, which would be nice mid-turn. And, you know, that Radiant Greninja is good, but a lot of the time, you know, you just need to get set up. And one of the things that's on my radar here for Thomas, right? He's accelerated free energy using Star Portal and missed energy attachment turn 1 and turn 2. He's only actually +1 energy having used his V-Star power. It's not been going great this game in terms of getting extra energy on the board. It's been kind of replacing energy attachments, not where you want to be.
Yeah, I guess with the damage output that Frank currently has on the field, you're not worried, or this early on not worried about losing your Palkia V-Star yet, and you have the Froakie. If you manage to evolve that, you would have a second attacker ready, and then you have potentially next turn evolve attack with Greninja if you can, and then attach manually to the Palkia on the board. So yes, I agree. There's actually a net negative here. You discard a free energies, never manually attached one for 3 turns, got them through your V-Star ability, but you could have had at the same time free energies on the board as well. Not as freely, and your setup could have been interrupted in between. But yeah, I agree. It would have been nice to see more attachments for turn as well.
Better than having no energy down, better than missing your attachments and not having a V-Star power to replace them. So we do see Frank here with that damaged Charizard in the active. No reserve Charizard on the bench yet. We got a Charmeleon ready to evolve. Always nice when you can spare yourself a rare candy in a deck playing so many stage 2s. Here is the boss's orders on the Mew. And this is one of the cool things about the Charizard deck. Because it gets more powerful as you go along, you can just go, right now I'm going to KO Mew because Mew is in range. I'm going to leave the Palkia until you've taken a couple more prizes, and Palkia is in range because my deck gets more powerful as I go along.
Yep.
Don't mind that at all.
I also think that Frank now is so far ahead that Defiance Band will never actually activate. It's hard to go back in. Yeah. But that would have been nice if early on you allow them to KO your Pokemon, they take prizes and you have the Defiance Band, then it even stacks further and would allow potential KOs. So let's see. I think I see a rare candy in hand, but we're missing Axe's. Was that an Ultra Ball plate? Yes, that's an Ultra Ball. Okay, so you can get Greninja or Dusknoir out here. That was a Greninja, but Dusknoir is actually the target. You talked about this early on. Currently 240 damage on the board, so 90 left.
Yep.
And mid-turn KOs actually allow you to attack afterwards as well, which means that potentially, I guess, what would you promote? Potentially the Pidgeot, because they can't be knocked out yet. Anything else would be knocked out from Subspace Swell, I believe.
Pidgeot potentially to tank a hit. If I'm Thomas here, I'm thinking, come on, Counter Catcher or Prime Catcher. Either would be fine. You will still be behind on prizes even after KOing the Charizard. And I'm not saying my opponent won't have rare candy Charizard. They might. But I want to force them to have it. I want to take 3 prizes. What have we seen?
What I've remembered is I think the bottom 2 prizes were actually, one of them was the one of Counter Catcher.
Oh, it was,
so if you take the knockout and take your prizes from the bottom upwards, I don't think we have seen a Hisuian Heavy Ball, so this might actually be a Counter Catcher that you talked about just a second ago.
I think we did actually see Palkia of a Hisuian Heavy Ball earlier in the game. No, we do have a Counter Catcher, and you're still behind on prizes. You don't have to go and get the Charmeleon here. That would be my personal preference. I want my opponent to not have an option next turn unless they get really... And I know we've got the Pidgeot, but still.
So you would prefer to KO the Charmeleon here?
I mean, you could all go after the Rotom to get, go up by a couple of prizes. That would also be an option. There's other things you can do. You can even just take out the Charmander. But what I really want to do here is I want to try and slow my opponent down. It's a deck that, if I take 3 prizes, the other thing is that Radiant Charizard becomes a 2-energy attacker, which means that Franck cannot use it to attack. So if I take out Charmeleon here, my opponent has to hit Candy Charizard in order to launch an attack.
Yeah,
maybe they can.
They can, absolutely, but I don't see Candy or Charizard in hand at the moment, so that's 2 pieces left. Of course, you can pull out that Charizard with the...
Here we go. Here comes the Charmeleon. And I do think this is absolutely the play. Say to your opponent, look, I know you've got Pidgeot, you've got a decent hand of cards, but you better have Candy Charizard. Oh, we have Candy in hand.
Yeah, never mind. It was hard to see the Pokemon Go. Rare Candy a little bit harder to see, but yeah, there's the Rare Candy, and we're just one quick search away from evolving another Charizard. Now, Thomas taken 3 prizes, so that's 180 plus
90, which is 270 total. So it's actually 10 damage short, and you're not behind on prizes, so Defiant Band will not get the KO. So another thing I like about this play, by taking 3 prizes, not 4, that means that you stay out of range of a Charizard.
Yeah, we see the Super Rod, such a huge impact in this game. Just being able to recycle your energies and your Charizard back into the deck. Charizard gets you the energies anyway, so you just need quick search for the Charizard. So we probably see the quick search, Charizard being picked up, 2 energies being picked up, and Pidgeot, not only does it have quick search, but also free retreat.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage, because a lot of the time in a situation like this, you also need a pivot option. No, Pidgeot is its own pivot option. So here we go with the Charizard and the energy, which was left conveniently on top of the deck by Franck. And now we are in a good position to launch an attack. But I do believe it's going to be 10 damage away from a KO as it stands.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I talked about. It looked like a difficult battle.
Oh, it's a boss's orders onto the Palkia V. That, however, is in range, and Franck will win game 2. We're going to a game 3, Barish.
Yeah, absolutely on us to not picking up that boss's order earlier. We talked about the Charizard and how it's short and out to play for.
I mean, okay, let's have a quick look at the prizes here. See if there's anything that's going to really scupper plans. Nothing terrible there from either player. 1 Pidgey, but there's another one in the deck. We'll be fine. If I'm Thomas here, I'm thinking hyper-aggressive Greninja. Radiant Greninja. If I can get an energy on it turn 1, and then Subspace Well 3 energy or even 2, and then attach. If I can get like 4 energy on it turn 2, I can use it 2 turns in a row. You need to get the energy in the discard. You need to hit your energy attachments. There's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes. I get it, but you could potentially get a turn 2 and turn 3 Moonlight Shuriken, and that could get you a lot of prizes quickly. You mop up with Palkia, you win a very quick game 3.
So now I'm really interested. There's no point really to start with Facility unless you have to. So it would be, there's an option, there's a potential that the hand from Franck just really looks really sad and doesn't have any further Pokemon. Of course, going second, you will be able to use Supporter, and typically it's very unlikely that you don't have any further Pokemon, don't have any items cut that will help you out, or don't have any supports that you could play out. Let's have a quick look there. I see a double Oven, Fire Energy, and 4 Steel Stone. So we have plenty of options here to actually play for the next turn. It won't be as easy as you would like it to be. We see Squawkabilly, and we see Radiant Greninja. It's a pretty good start.
Went and searched that out straight away. Now, the thing to remember is we get those +3 turns. So, essentially, if you need to have enough prizes taken by the time that time is called in order to then potentially finish off in your last couple of turns. An attachment we do have onto the Greninja, but instead it's going to be a concealed card. We don't get a replacement energy. We do get a Night Stretcher. I would really like to see an attachment to the Greninja this turn. That would make me very happy. You're not going to have a long game. Your Night Stretcher are not as precious as they would be in other games.
Yeah, and sometimes you might think, discarding your energy and then getting you back with a Night Stretcher. But in this case, even in following turns, you still have concealed cards. You still have other options to discard energy. So I'm totally with you there. Would love to see the Night Stretcher to attach for turn as well. We see another Pokestop.
Prime Catcher, and we get rid of a couple of Pokemon. The Palkia V-Star's a little sad, but again, we do have that Night Stretcher as an option here. But you see Tomada, he's going to be playing fast. He needs to play fast. I would like to see an attachment on Greninja. But then again, if you attach to Greninja from the discard using your Night Stretcher, then that makes your Star Portal weaker next turn, which, Yeah, kind of.
I see that dilemma. It's really hard to decide. And in this case, Thomas has actually chosen to leave the energies in the discard pile and find another way to attach and use Star Portal next turn. There's the Arven play that we talked about. It gives you access to one item and a tool. We talked about this plenty during this game. Nest Ball seems to be the choice here. Wherever I really like Body Puffin as well, which there are plenty of in the deck. But I guess Nest Ball gives you any Pokemon even with further than 70 HP. There's free on top of the deck. But we see it looks like aiming for that Nest Ball. Is that a potential Rotom target you're looking for? Or is there any other Pokemon that you would want to get out that isn't accessible with the Body Puffin?
General rule here is if you've got a decent hand, you can go after a bunch of your little basics. If you don't have a really good hand, you want that Rotom. Those extra free cards early doors, you saw it used in game 1, you saw it used in game 2. Those extra free cards early in the game are so important for a deck that is really relying on having rare candy and the stage 2. Yeah, here comes the Rotom, and I think you have to here. The only exception where you don't go for the Rotom is where your hand is awesome. But Rotom also is the only option you've got for your Forest Seal Stone. So again, if your hand isn't awesome, no, I'm lying to you, Luminion as well. But yeah, unless your hand's awesome, you always go Rotom.
Yeah, and of course you wouldn't want to use Nest Ball on Luminion because it then would completely negate that ability. So Rotom is the choice here. I would be surprised. Yeah, there's a double Charmander, and I would be surprised if this isn't one of the Body Puffins at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Body Puffin being taken into hand. Sequencing is correct there. Playing the item, then getting 2 Pokemon from your deck onto the bench, 2 Charmanders. However, we talked about this, there's no Manaphy in the deck list. There's already 2 Waters in the discard pile, but the Hero's Cape is coming huge in here.
And that's, you generally don't want to put a Hero's Cape on a Charmander, but Frank sees what's going on here, leaves that Rotom in the active and just goes, look, maybe you even KO it with Palkia, but I've got to protect my Charmander. Now, there is a Pokestop in play. There is a Lost Vacuum in Thomas's deck. It is, in fact, is it in his hand? Was that back card of his hand a Lost Vacuum, or am I seeing things? I'll go on, Thomas, show me your hand a little bit. Am I seeing, that was a rare candy. Okay, because a Lost Vacuum here would be huge.
Absolutely huge. Of course, the play we're aiming at or eyeing here is for the Moonlight Shuriken, 90 damage on 2 Pokemon that could potentially...
Oh, wait a second. We've got Rare Candy Dusknoir. Now that Charizard's got 170, but this would potentially be an option as well. Actually, you've got Prime Catcher. You could Prime Catcher the one that's got the cape on and then use Dusknoir to KO the benched one, and you don't even need to use Radiant Greninja here.
Absolutely correct, and then you don't need Moonlight Shuriken either. You can just use Subspace as well, and I think both Charmander are actually weak to water as well. Not that it matters, but that is definitely going to be KO. However, I spoke too soon. Actually, Greninja and the active.
This does a very similar kind of thing where because of the weakness to water, you do 180 to the active Charmander, which will get through the Hero's Cape, while doing 90 to the bench Charmander, and then all of a sudden you do get both of them. But we will need an energy here. I think there's 2 in the discard, you said.
Yeah, Iono's being played, so, and we still have the Pokestop to potentially discard another one.
No. Ooh, whiffs the energy completely. So we Buddy Puffin, and now we have to hit an energy off of the Pokestop to then accelerate it using Star Portal, or we're going to be an energy short.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to play out, and I do wonder... Could you have used Prime Catcher into your Dusknoir, which then gives you more flexibility afterwards to switch into any attacker of your choice? Because, yes, Moonlight Shuriken would be amazing, but at the same time, if you have that Dusknoir, 2 energies would have been enough to use Subspace well and KO the active.
Yeah, and here, that was an option. It's something we said about, and it could be relevant. Oh, okay, there we go. So we got an energy from there. That fixes that, plus a couple of items. Problem is, I'm pretty sure time's been called. So Thomas here has this turn and 1 more. Frank has 2 turns. I think Thomas can take 4 prizes quite nicely here. I'm not sure we can take 6.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 prizes, that might work. 6, I don't really see from either player here. So that time that we, don't want to say we lost in game 2, but that time we spent for day 2, for game 2, really cost us this 3rd game to finish. So let's see. I mean, yes, Moonlight Shuriken, KO the active. No, but in a long, drawn-out game, taking 2 knockouts on the Charmander, amazing. If this is turn 0,
This was never going to be a long, drawn-out game. This is going to be a quick win for Tomas. It was going to be a very quick win. The problem is it wasn't going to be a free turn win, and that's all Tomas actually has here. So, yeah, we do have confirmation now on the board. You can see that die with a number 1. Franck is going to be turn 1 here, which means Tomas has exactly 1 more turn, and... yeah, I can even see free... no.
Yeah, the problem is they can't even use subspace well.
Nope.
Because they have no energy. They're never attached for turn. I think this is one of the key factors that you pointed on very early on. You would have loved to see attachment for turn. It didn't happen almost throughout the whole set, and Star Portal alone is just not enough.
No, we've had free energy attached in this 3rd game. All 3 have been from that Star Portal. We've just not had any attachments. We didn't have many in game 2 either. And like I say, you're not really adding attachments, you're replacing them. And just 1 extra energy on the board here would have been really big. But I don't think it matters at this point. We got free Charmander down now from Franck. He's managed to recover. And then Buddy Poffin, he's gone from 2 Charmander. They both got knocked out. Now he's got 3 Charmander. But I don't think I don't think there can be a conclusion to this game. Franck would need 6 prizes in 2 turns. Tomas would need 4 prizes in 1 turn. So we do see gets this onto the throw key. But
I think at this point, Franck just eliminates any slim chance for any miracle here and just basically eliminating any option for a win from Tomas. And I think it's only a matter of time until players will come to the same conclusion.
Oh, actually just pointing out that Franck did bench that Pidgey with a collapsed stadium in play. So Pidgey goes back to the hand. Now, no, I'm just wondering if there's going to be a penalty applied here. I can't imagine there would be. Not anything that's going to impact the game substantially anyway.
I think if Pidgey was in hand and wasn't searched out for the deck with an S-ball, then I don't really see a huge issue there.
No, we bench it, we put it back in hand. Looks like we are just straight back into the game with Rotom drawing 3 cards. And Tomas here is on turn 2, his final turn of the match, needing to take 4 prizes. Now, we can even take, I can even see 3 this turn if there was any energy there.
Wait. No. I was thinking 2 Curse Blasts. But then you're still missing an attack, really, right?
We don't have an attack on the board.
Yeah, no attack on the board.
There's just not enough energy to do. You know, Froakie can do like 20, but here we can double Curse Blast.
Wait. There's one chance. Get the Greninja, evolve. You have the KO with 1.
Oh, hang on a second. No, we're there. We get the energy onto the Radiant Greninja. That KOs the active Rotom. Double Curse Blast onto the Pheasant Dipty. And Tomas here does take an unlikely victory on the very final turn of the game. That was, I mean, a lot needed. We needed 2 rare candy. We needed both the stage 2s. We needed a lot in that final turn. And Tomas does actually come and put it all together